Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. $32 a child. Just $32 a child. 1963, Nina Simone wrote a song in about an hour after Medgar Evers was shot in the driveway in Jackson and 4 girls were killed in a Birmingham church basement. She said her first impulse was to buy a gun. She wrote instead, "The song's antagonist is not a killer. It's a word. Slow. Go slow. Be patient. Trust the sequence. Let the process work." She was righter than she could prove. While Mississippi publicly prosecuted Byron Della Beckwith for the Evers assassination, a taxpayer-funded state agency, the Sovereignty Commission, reported to the governor was secretly vetting the jury pool to help him walk. One hand of the government performed justice, the other rigged it. 1977, the legislature sealed the agency's files for 50 years. It took a reporter, leaked documents, and a federal court order to break that seal. Beckwith was convicted in 1994, 31 years later. Write that down, because it's the whole lesson. In Mississippi, the sealed record was not a neutral procedure protecting an investigation. The sealed record was the evidence. Now consider what Mississippi is doing today. By the numbers, 51st of 51 in healthcare performance, highest infant mortality, highest cancer mortality, shortest life expectancy in America, highest child poverty, median household income 30% below the national average, and a legislature that still refuses Medicaid expansion. Turning away federal dollars, its own hospitals are closing without. For a century, that was explained by poverty. We can't afford better, they would say. And then Mississippi did something that destroyed its own excuse. In 2013, Mississippi fourth graders ranked 49th in the nation in reading and 50th in math. By 2024, they were reading above the national average, with only Massachusetts scoring higher. The fourth grade math had climbed to 50th from 50th to the 16th. Adjusted for student demographics, the Urban Institute ranked Mississippi first in the country. The program that did it cost $15 million a year, 0.2% of the state budget, $32 a child. $32 a child. And the poorest state in the union climbed 40 places. So let us never again accept poverty as the explanation for anything else Mississippi does. A state that can do with $32 a child can also insure its people. It's choosing not to. Every last place finish in Mississippi is now a decision made by an unidentifiable men in a building with an address, which brings us to a file that will not open. 18-year-old Nolan Xavier Wells boarded a boat near Ocean Springs on the 4th of July in 2026. Marine Resources records show it reached Horn Island at 11:14 that morning, where roughly 300 people had gathered. Nolan was black. The friends he traveled with were mostly white. Witnesses placed him on that island in the afternoon. The boat came home at 5:54 without him. 2 days later, a National Park Service ranger found his body in the water. State's autopsy is finished. It's sealed. It goes to a grand jury that meets in secret, and that, if it declines to act, will explain nothing. No transcript, no reasoning, nothing to appeal. The family's own pathologist, the former chief medical examiner of Washington, D.C., could not determine how Nolan died and documented why. Nolan's throat was not made available to him. The district attorney says this routine, that every non-natural death in her county goes to a grand jury, and that has been her practice her entire career. That says a lot. That may be entirely true. She's met with the family's team. These are not the acts of an office burying something. But in Mississippi, routine has never been the same thing as trustworthy. Jury screening is routine. The 50-year-old seal was routine, passed by a legislature in daylight with a legal justification attached. and served 1955 arrest warrant for Carolyn Bryant Dunham, sat in the LaFleur County Courthouse basement for 67 years, and that was routine too. None of it was wrong on its face. All of it was the mechanism. And this is not Mississippi's private business. 2 senators, the same as California's 39 million, 6 electoral votes, 4 House seats, 2 votes towards the 41 that sustain a filibuster. The state that finishes last in nearly every measure of human life looks to hold a veto over health care and the voting rights of 342 million people. You cannot build a more perfect union while one state refuses to cooperate with progress and then reaches into everyone else's pocket. Horn Island is federal land. Nolan disappeared there. He was found there by a federal officer. In 1964, when Mississippi refused to charge the murders of Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney, Washington did not wait. It indicted. In 2026, Washington is waiting. So, open the autopsy to Christine and Elmore Wansley. Let the Justice Department review a death on federal ground. Produce the Park Service records from that weekend. Mississippi has proven it can change for $32 a child. Transparency is free. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, Pastor Raymond C. Dix Jr. joins us right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
Originally, the project was supposed to end, I was told, October of that year, and now we're looking at 5 years later, and it still hasn't been finished. I still have no parking lot. We have to park blocks away to get to work, along with my clients with sick animals. I have elderly clients, I have handicapped clients. They have to, either suffer through, park somewhere far, and make their way to the clinic with their sick animal so I can treat them. Or they can choose to go somewhere else, which is more convenient. And so I think majority of people would probably choose the more convenient way. Luckily, I definitely have some clients that will still, make that trip. So it's definitely been impacting my business for 5 years. Like I said, my father, he has 3 sons, as affectionately known as the Hardy Boys. We're all veterinarians. My oldest brother has a practice in Long Beach. My middle brother has a practice in Arcadia. He instilled all his greatness in us, and so we're continuing tradition. I would definitely continue the tradition of Angeles Vista Pet Medical Center. We're on the corner of Crenshaw and Vernon. But this impact appears to be going on way, way too long. Something needs to be done. It has to be concluded.
Making sure they follow through. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through this city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
The KBLA 1580 app puts the realest conversations right in your pocket. Stream live wherever you are in the world. No static. No searching the dial. A crystal clear connection 24/7, exactly when you want it. We recommend that you keep automatic updates enabled. Set it and forget it. So the app stays up to date with store requirements, bug fixes, and new features as we roll them out. Download the KBLA 1580 app today and stay plugged into the conversation everyone's having.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-550-9651. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Pastor Raymond C. Dix Jr. has faithfully been preaching in the ministry of Jesus Christ for 44 years, now serving as the senior pastor of the Pilgrim Baptist Church in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Pastor Dix comes to Pilgrim with over 30 years of pastoral experience and even more real-life experience on the ground in the streets of the United States of America. Pastor Dix strongly believes that hope in any community is tied to the gospel. Pastor Dix, welcome forward to the show.
Hey, brother, how you doing? Thank you so much for having me on today.
Hey, I appreciate you being there. Listen, we can quantify how much money the state of Mississippi spends on children, how much money it spends on its citizens, from healthcare to housing to where they rank. We see real progress when they make the investment in people, but increasingly it's obvious that Mississippi, a state that has 2 United States senators, that has electoral college vote, that has 4 members of Congress, often finds itself the one state in the whole union going contrary to the whole union on everything and holding up progress for everybody. Pastor Dix, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch.
Well, I would agree with you. I had the opportunity to be in Mississippi in May and meet the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, Mayor Horn. And Mayor Horn served, according to him, over 30 years in the Mississippi State Legislature. And part of the fight that he explained to us has been Mississippi, while it ranks pretty good in Black voter turnout, is still having trouble getting legislation passed because of Republican-dominated control in their state legislature. And I think some of the issues that you bring up, especially as it relates to voter suppression and their, archaic felon voter laws that won't even restore the right to vote to felons who have had their records expunged. The governor vetoed that bill. I think this has to be a federal issue. I think we have to call for it in the federal government. We have to pressure the Congress, and most of all, we've got to get some folks that are willing to maybe do some freedom rides again and those kinds of things to put pressure on them and show up. Jackson has a Black mayor. There's been this disconnect between the city of Jackson and the capital, Jackson, in Mississippi. And for a while, the previous mayor, Jackson, and the governor weren't even having a conversation. And you know about the water crisis and all that. So they have some very real problems down there.
And they're not new, because if you remember, even before the American Civil War, when Democrats in the South were fundamentally in supportive of the agrarian interest in preserving the institution of slavery, that Blacks in Mississippi had to fight Democrats. And then as we began to make progress in Mississippi, after Brown versus the Board of Education, after the Civil Rights Movement, after the death of Medgar Evers and Swerner Goodman and Cheney, and on and on and on and on, the reality is, and has been, now it's Black folks versus the Republicans. There are no two parties in Mississippi. It's Black folks versus the Republicans, or Black folks versus Democrats. There are no two parties in Mississippi.
Right.
And polarization is as old as the state, as the existence of the state itself. I mean, kind of the old Briar Rabbit routine. Put one thing in, take one thing out, make 1 inch of progress, take 2 inches of progress back over here. It can never, for some reason in Mississippi, all happen at the same time.
Well, I think you're right. Number one, there aren't two parties in the state of Mississippi, but there is one ideology. And that ideology is to really focus itself on keeping the power, the wealth, and all of those things in Mississippi in the hands of the few, or those who are in political power, the white community. And that's why I think it's very important. Mayor Horn made some great points to us when we were down there meeting with him. He is about creating wealth. There needs to be Black folks in Mississippi that start saying, if there ever was a time for us to start supporting African-American businesses and maybe even saying it's time to break up with the public school system. I don't know. But, we've probably been the most loyal supporter of the public school system since Brown versus Board of Education. And you still have the least amount of money going into schools in Mississippi that benefit or that are in Black communities. So I think it's time for us to really take a look at that.
I think you're absolutely right. Pastor Dix, I'm not I haven't been particularly a fan of rough sports for women, but I'm telling you, the WNBA is as competitive as any football game in the fall. I've never seen a contact sport quite like the WNBA. Pastor, what's going on in the WNBA?
So yeah, you got a couple things. I am like this close, brother, to giving up on the WNBA. And I've been a basketball fan all my life, and it's good basketball whether men are playing it or women playing. I've been 26 years this year as a high school basketball official in the state of Indiana, licensed official. So I've seen a lot of good basketball, and I've seen a lot of bad basketball. That's true. Here's the number one thing that I think is happening. And number one is the WNBA is in trouble when it comes to deciding what their culture is going to be. They've made some cultural stands for transgender persons. And at the same time, now you've got Royce White and Enes Kanter Freedom that are saying, we are going to apply for the WNBA draft. These are two former NBA players that are saying, according to the language in your collective bargaining and things like that, we actually are eligible to apply. All we have to do is say that we're women. So this thing has gotten so out of control for the WNBA. They've kind of locked themselves into the problem. Now, the other thing, as far as play on the court that you mentioned, I watched the game yesterday down here in Atlanta, the Atlanta Dream, and I believe it was Toronto team, the new expansion team in Toronto. And that game was probably as physical as I've seen a game, including NBA games, in a long time. I think what you have is an inconsistency in officiating. You've got people who call games differently. We used to complain about it in Indiana when we played, teams that came from the region would get down to Indianapolis and the state finals and the game be called completely different than what they were accustomed to. But I think you have an inconsistency in officiating on top of everything. And that's why you have such a physical game. And this seems like every other day you've got a socio-cultural statement being made by somebody in the WNBA. How about we just, kind of focus our attention on getting this basketball to where it needs to be?
I mean, the reason we're dealing with it on our program, quite frankly, at all, is that the culture wars are coming to the WNBA.
Yes.
For whatever you want to say about it, whether you're a fan of women's basketball or not, two former NBA players, based upon how the rules of the WNBA have been written in the draft process, have applied to play in the WNBA as men, or, as women or as men in a women's league.
Yes.
I'm confused as to what.
By just declaring that they're women.
Yeah, by just declaring that they're women. Yeah, see, I've been confused by what the process actually is. But then we have, of course, when Caitlin Clark, who I'm a fan of, but she showed up in the league all net. But then it became some kind of roller derby, some kind of T-Birds. Haven't seen anything quite like it. since the T-Birds were playing at the amphitheater, were roller skating in the amphitheater in Chicago and throwing.
I remember. Yeah,
So,
I remember that. Yeah.
So the rules, are kind of wide open in the WNBA. You can throw an elbow, you can take a shot at someone, and almost maim them. And now this idea that men can apply for the WNBA is obviously going to be a tremendous problem. Pastor, where is this going? Because clearly, when the politics arrive, and they have arisen at the WNBA, we're going to be sorting through a lot of messes.
Yeah, I mean, this is like Mount Vesuvius that's been brewing for a long time, and it's now getting to the point where it's exploding in the WNBA. I mean, you've got this thing with Dejanay Carrington, who is now saying white privilege, and that was her response to being ejected from a game for clearly what was a flagrant 2 foul. I've seen many of those plays over the years, Jesse, and I can tell you right now, watching that play from the different angles, there was no attempt to play the ball. That's what creates a flagrant foul situation. When you don't play the ball, she swung her arm down, the wind up. She intended to make contact without a basketball play, and that is deemed flagrant because the potential for injury is much larger in those situations. Yes, absolutely. And so she says white privilege.
It's almost an assault.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you get 5 to 10 in some places for that, but you've got a situation where she says white privilege. Now, I read her reaction and how she explained it. I thought it was kind of word salad, quite frankly, the way she explained it. I would have rather said, yeah, I think white players are treated differently than black players when it comes to officiating, and stuck by her guns. But of course, the potential there is that you're going to lose money, you lose endorsements, you probably face discipline from the WNBA and your team for saying something like that. She tried to clean it up, citing her education, and she knows the significance of using those words. But clearly, it was an emotional reaction. I would have felt better if she said, look, my emotions just got a hold of me. I was angry. I do think there's a disparity, and let's deal with that. And if she had done that.
Pastor, we've got about 2 minutes before we come forward. What are we teaching our kids? What are we saying to our kids? What are we saying to the young ladies with these controversies? What are we saying?
Yeah, I think we're saying that sport is not sport anymore. It used to be a time where I could go to a sporting game and kind of escape the rigmarole of life and just get into watching the game, having a good time, and spending time with family, friends, watching the contest. Now, sport has become a microcosm of the greater cultural wars that are going on in America. And I don't think that's a good thing for sport.
And it certainly isn't a good thing for young ladies who are
That's correct.
finally getting access to the opportunity to compete at the professional level. Sure. They have observed their heroes and their stars. They've watched men's sports play by certain rules. And by the way, the evolution of a semi-violent sport for men, basketball was that, until, no contact rules. You couldn't hand check. You had to give them some space. You had to move the 3-point line, the fouls, etc. all became part of a process to calm the testosterone down. And now in the WNBA, it's as if all of the rules that we have mastered over several decades to make the sport better and more competitive have been thrown out the window. Anyway, we got a lot more to talk about with Pastor Raymond C. Dix Jr. when we come forward. Pastor Dix currently holds many certifications and recognitions for years of service, as well as a bachelor's degree in biblical studies from Indiana Wesleyan, and is presently pursuing his MDiv degree with the intention of completing doctoral studies as well. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 with Pastor Raymond C. Dix Jr.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump says Iran should pay for damages for harm caused over the past 50 years.
They asked for money for the damage that we've done. I said, that's a good idea. Well, we're going to ask for money for the damage they've done over a 50-year period.
His comments come as Iran demands U.S. compensation for damage from the recent war. Alabama is preparing to execute a black man, Jeremy Williams, Thursday for the 2021 sexual assault and killing of a 5-year-old girl. Williams pleaded guilty and requested the death penalty. The victim's mother was sentenced to 20 years for sex trafficking. And efforts to preserve Louisiana's first African-American church are getting a boost. Wilson Engineers is providing free structural work to help restore the 209-year-old First African Baptist Church, where cracks have formed in the outer walls. Church leaders are also seeking funding for repairs. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers got a much-needed victory Monday night. They held on for a 6-5 win over the Kansas City Royals. First win at home for the Dodgers since July 30th against Seattle. The Clippers have an unofficial milestone. They signed a guy named Jamarian Sharp. At 7'5", the 24-year-old Sharp is currently the tallest player in the NBA. Sharp is an inch taller than San Antonio Spurs star Victor Wembanyama, but he is nowhere near Wembanyama's skill level. Despite his size, Sharp was not selected in the 2024 NBA draft after playing for Mississippi. That might be a hint for Clippers fans to not get too excited. Sharp was in the G League last season with the Texas Legends, the Dallas Mavericks affiliate. The Clippers signed Sharp as a free agent, which means he's not guaranteed a roster spot. He'll have to make the team in training camp and the preseason. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready for a weekend reset? Walk it out with me, Gina A. Towns, the artist formerly known as Gina Darby, on Reflectivity Beyond Black and White, as we seek peace, understanding, and healing beyond surface level perspectives, where reflectivity becomes our inner power and resilience to transform our lives and our communities no matter what. Meet me and my crazy cool guests. Join the Reflectivity family movement as we make sense of it all. Every bit, every morsel. We're going to nourish the mind, body, and soul unapologetically right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Every Saturday, 2 and 8 p.m. on the West Coast, 4 and 10 in the Midwest, and 5 and 11 on the East Coast. It's time for Reflectivity Beyond Black and White. It's not only hot, it's sizzling, and we're cooking. Turn the dial to where the truth lives. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
What's good, KBLA delegation? I am Miles Lowe, and I'm excited to be joining the weekend lineup right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Join me every Saturday at 12 noon for the Do Better Show, where we get into the world of tech, AI, the creator economy, navigating your mental health through it all, and have conversations with founders to find out how real people are making real money right now. It's not a course, not a subscription. Class is in session every weekend, live on the air. So if you knew better, you do better, right? So let's make a better you. The Do Better Show, every Saturday, 12 noon, replaying again at 7 p.m. right here on Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We got a lot to talk.
Don't be anxious or confused about AI. Take control of your career when you get the skills to tackle real business problems and design specialized solutions. HR Dive reported that entry-level talent with applied AI credentials can receive up to a 25% salary boost. But where do you find training that you can trust? Future-proof your career and deliver more value with Humans Lead the Way AI. Their hybrid learning courses use practical definitions, real-world examples, and strategic insights to help you and your team understand AI with confidence. No magic, no hacks, no shortcuts. Just practical knowledge that helps you use AI more successfully. Don't wait. AI can never replace people who know how to use it well. Register for courses today at humansleadtheway.com. That's humansleadtheway.com.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse J. Dr. Raymond C. Dix. Pastor Dix, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Pastor, let me ask you a question. The midterms are coming, and over the last couple of days, and certainly from the middle of last week to this moment, there is concern within the Democratic Party over the growth of the Democratic Socialists of America. I'd like to make the case that the DSA has seized arguments of affordability in multi-candidate primary contests that are indistinguishable from who they are, and that middle-of-the-road Democrats missed the mark on identifying with issues of affordability. That is the rationale for their success. The party is not becoming socialist. I don't believe that to be true. I do believe that the DSA is making more sense than moderate Democrats at this hour, particularly when it concerns the true and the real anxiety of the American voter. Pastor Dix.
I think that there's some real reason to take that position when it comes to how the anxiety feels of the American voter. I think one of the things that you and I are both probably old enough to remember when the Democratic Party stood for some hard work and people who were members of unions such as steelworkers and auto unions, and these people wanted just their piece of the American pie and were willing to work for it. Some of what happens now with the DSA is that they're the only ones talking about these types of issues, or at least the loudest ones talking about these types of issues for American people. And so they're getting some people who are listening. I think our moderate or our Democratic Party of the past needs to be able to articulate the pathway to self-determination and wealth better than what we've articulated in the past. We need to make sure that we articulate the things that government must and should be doing, as opposed to also the things that we ought to do as human beings. As a pastor, I'm acutely aware that it was God who instituted work. He said, 6 days shall you labor, and on the seventh you'll rest. So work is a part of life. And I think if we were able to say that government ought to do some very critical functions, that especially those functions that I cannot do for myself, government ought to be involved in doing those things, instead of just saying, hey, we're going to be quiet and not say anything. And then you've got the DSA saying, we are looking at this thing in a whole different way, and maybe we just need to move more towards a socialist society rather than a capitalist society. But I still say that you've got plenty of Black millionaires and people like that are out there creating opportunity, creating business, and those things are there. Is it harder? Perhaps it is, but we've got to be willing to put forth that effort and help our own community.
Pastor, almost 2 years ago, in fact, 2 years ago minus about 90 days, that's when we'll be casting our votes in the November election. We waited patiently for Democrats to do something. We were watching Donald Trump's executive orders. We were watching the closing of the Department of Education, the ending of the United States Agency for International Development. We watched Donald Trump and his cronies fleecing the American government, fire more than 300,000 African American women. And we watched patiently. And really, Democrats, we argued, weren't saying enough and weren't responding fast enough, really until the No Kings marches showed up. And then, of course, they showed up at the front of the No Kings marches, but we didn't hear their advocacy on the floor of the Congress, even though they were a minority party holding Donald Trump accountable. And now it's time for the rubber to meet the road, for the piper to be paid for the tune that the piper has been playing. Moderate Democrats are crying foul as left-wing interests in Democratic primaries are louder, have been organizing No Kings marches, have been organizing protests, have declared themselves for office. They're registering people to vote. They're younger voters that they're bringing into the process. The Democratic establishment's being caught off guard by that. And that's part of the problem.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, the establishment has been caught off guard, but I would caution this very thing. And I almost hate to quote her, but Margaret Thatcher said something that was really interesting. She said that socialism works until you run out of other people's money. and there lies a rub. I don't think we can point to a socialistic society that has been enormously successful, even though the aims, may have been legitimate. Creating more wealth and more opportunity for people, but when you look at what socialism is as a ideology, there are really some problems that exist over time with success from a nation standpoint. So I think what we have to do is just really recapture this idea that America can work if we are able to things like show up at the ballot box, be honest with ourselves about what's happening in our own communities. And you said this about education. I look at, from a religious standpoint, the Catholics and the Lutherans do not turn their children over to the state to be educated. And Black Christians turn our children over to the state to be educated. We don't have hardly any Black religious K through 12 schools in this country. North Carolina has created, if I'm not wrong, about $500 million for vouchers. Those vouchers aren't white or Black, they're just vouchers. And until we create opportunities for our children to be educated on entrepreneurship, being able to create opportunities for their ideas to come to fruition, we're not doing that in our own community. We're leaving it up to the public schools, and I don't think that there's that kind of investment that is equitable in, say, the school district in some schools in Chicago, as opposed to inner city Chicago, as opposed to the north side and things like that. So we've got some real issues that we have to address and ask some hard questions. Do those schools help us? And would it be better for us to be in a situation where we were educating our own children, teaching values, and helping them reach the height of their creativity?
I'm going to have you back for a couple of hours, and we're going to have a 2-hour conversation about what to do about these religious schools and whether or not the sheer number of children can be educated in so-called religious schools. And what I know about the Baptist Church is educating K through 12 ain't what we do. And so the idea that we open up a bunch of churches over at Reverend Shownuff's church and over this place right here, that somehow that's going to equal somebody that's ready to go to college, I'm not feeling that.
No, so we don't do it well. You're right.
We don't do that well. I can't advocate for it right now. But I'm deeply and profoundly concerned about the repair of what we have. If we can arrive at a national standard, that no class size in America should have more than 15 students, that every teacher in a public school in every grade level should have a master's degree to which the government helped those teachers attain one, that they have livable wages and benefits for teaching the next generation of Americans, that every American child in America has a laptop, access from K through 12 to artificial intelligence training.
That's right. Internet. That's right.
The best possible athletic program so that they can fully develop who they are, from swimming pools that are Olympics-wise, learning diving and breaststroke and backstroke and soccer and tennis and football and basketball, male and female, basketball and female, if it's going to be basketball, roller derby, or whatever it's going to be. Let us know what the rules are going to be on the front side before we see it on TV at the WNBA. That if we can build equal high quality schools, I am convinced in all 50 states, all 3,500 counties, all 20,000 municipalities, we would have the largest jobs program in the history of the United States, moving the next generation and preparing the next generation for the next economy, whatever that economy is going to be. As long as we're fragmented, separate and unequal, we simply can't build a better nation. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., my pastor's Reverend Raymond C. Dix. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580 in just a moment.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Just in case you missed our Procrastination Crenshaw Town Hall.
I actually live on this block, and it has affected my life because I'm a knock nurse. We have everyone coming over here that's on meth, drugs, and everything. I've called multiple times to Los Angeles County about once you leave out of here, you will see once you go down to this stop sign, it's pitch black. There's no lights over here.
No lights?
No lights on this side or that side. You have people with mental issues throwing these gates to Crenshaw. Children don't like to come outside anymore on their scooters, their bikes, their helmets, and they're speeding up and down. No regards to life at all. Like I said, I leave out of work. I'm a traveling nurse, so I take my contracts in Los Angeles County, but I may have to go to Montebello. I may have to go to Van Nuys. I leave out at 9:45 sometimes sooner, and it's someone breaking into our mailboxes because they're breaking into our mailboxes.
So now the mail's not coming.
Yeah, breaking your windows in your vehicle, and it's just really sad.
Holding them accountable. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
When I hit my 50s, I felt like things were slowing down.
This is Sandra's Metamucil story.
I started taking Metamucil for digestion, but had no idea it would impact so much more. Not only did Metamucil help me feel more regular, but my heart health saw the benefits too.
Metamucil. One simple routine, 4 health benefits. Digestive health starts here. Go to metamucil.com for more details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic violence and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Every single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take on various forms: psychological and emotional, physical and economic, and sexual abuse. The Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. The Genesee Center also provides support services like mental mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal services. If you need help or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 1-800-479-7328. That's 1-800-479-7328, or visit Genesee.org. Everyone has the right to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are on KBLA Talk 1580 Monday through Thursday, 12 to 2 PST, 2 to 4 CST, and 3 to 5 EST every single day of the week. That is Monday through Thursday. Our Friday show, Fat Meat Fridays, is now being led by none other than the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Gina Towns. Gina has her own show called Sizzling Saturdays, and she's going to be quite upset when I pull up her microphone and let you tell her exactly the time of your show. Go, Gina.
Oh, wow. Well, it will be Sizzling Saturday this Saturday with Reflectivity Beyond Black and White on KBLA Talk 1580.
What are the times of your show?
Gina A. Towns. It's 3 to 5 on the East Coast. It is 2 and 10 in the Midwest, and 2 and 5 and 11. I'm sorry.
Okay,
2 and 8.
she's gonna figure that
2 and 8 on the West Coast.
That's a lot to remember.
Congratulations on your new show, Gina. Hey, Pastor Nick,
Congratulations.
welcome to the show. I'm so proud of your work in Fort Wayne area. Pastor, how can we support your ministry?
Well, number one, we always need prayer. That's number one, first and foremost. I would ask anyone to pray for us as we seek to take on a lot of things that are happening, not only in the Fort Wayne area, but across the state of Indiana. That's important. I would say, too, if you'd like to tune in to our worship on Sunday morning, we're still evolving. So, this streaming thing, our church is a 107-year-old church, and technology is new probably in the last 7 or 8 years to us in some ways. So, but we are streaming on YouTube at Pilgrim Live TV, also on Facebook at Pilgrim Fort Wayne. So you can look us up there. Support us there. And then finally, if you'd like to give to the ministry, you could give through givelify.com. That's our online giving portal. You can give by searching for Pilgrim Baptist Church of Fort Wayne, and whatever gift the Lord puts on your heart, we would greatly appreciate it. We are looking to make sure we do more with what God has provided, and we have a Cash App at Pilgrim Pilgrim BCFW. That's it. $.
You
Pilgrim
pastors
BCFW.
have this Cash App. That's the whole Cash
Listen,
App.
that's the church's Cash App. That's not mine. I don't get right here, bro. That's what comes to me. But I'm thankful for what, just having to be able to eat every day. That's a good thing.
I was on 79th and Stony Island Avenue a couple of weeks ago when I was driving south, and a brother walked up to me with a sign talking about he's hungry and he's all this. I said, bro, listen, I ain't got no cash today. Bro said, I take Cash App.
Yeah.
I said, I got PayPal. I'm like, Negro, that ain't happening.
Right.
You got all of that.
Yeah,
you need a job.
You need a job, bro. That's right. That's right. Rake a yard, cut some grass, something. Yeah.
Hey, Pastor, let me ask a question because I saw something
Mm-hmm.
fairly amazing. You know, I'm new to radio in the last about 6-7 weeks, and I watched Tavis, who is like the #1 African American leading voice on terrestrial radio and many social media frameworks, literally use his platform to move the mayor of Los Angeles, to move city council persons and other agencies in the city to do something within about 1.5 miles square or corridor, if you will, in Los Angeles. I watched him, his editorials do that. Now, I'm wondering, as a model for the Black church, why can't Black churches, and there are plenty of them, use their pulpits for about the territory within 1 mile of their churches in whatever direction they perceive the problem to be, and use that advocacy and their pulpits as well as their congregations to clean it up, to demand better accountability from our aldermen, to demand serious accountability from our mayors, to bring about change that the people themselves can see. I watched him do that. And we hit some milestones yesterday under Tavis's leadership right here at KBLA. I'm wondering why is that not a model for the Black church? That once a week, once a month, over about an 8-week period, we can all get something done locally that can make a difference in our communities.
Well, I think #1 reason is that ministers and pastors have to see this as part of the scope of their vision and responsibility and their calling. That the internal pulpit is one thing, but most of our churches, and I can tell you this, if you look at, use a metaphor of arrows, most of our arrows are inward. And so we are looking to draw people into a crowd, into a building, rather than turning our arrows outward into the community. That's saying the resources that we have should be put to improving the life of people around us. In our community, our church, my predecessor purchased a lot of property. We are looking to build, develop that property so that we can have affordable housing. Fort Wayne has a shortage, and I'm encouraging all churches that own property to be able to develop that property so families can get into home ownership as a way of building wealth. And I think churches can do those things because we do have property. Now, as far as political influence, yes, we have it. And there are things that we can stand on the issues. Chuck Colson's book said Kingdom and Conflict. The church ought to be the conscience of the state. There's no doubt about that. We ought to be able to say, hey, wait a minute. The liberty and the freedom in the pulpit allows me to address this issue and to bring you in and talk to you, mayor or governor or whatever the case may be, congressperson, so that we can talk about how this is affecting people in the real world. And that's something that you have to do.
Pastor, let me say this. I watched Reverend James Meeks, who, when I joined the church 3 decades ago, preach an inward gospel, and then he ran for state senate. He ran largely on a platform that there were too many liquor stores too close to his church. With a little help from his congressman and his congregant, we were successful in that campaign, and he went to Springfield, Illinois. Right behind that, he ran someone for alderman in that ward and changed the city council representation who ran on the same platform. And then I watched Reverend Meeks help elect 2 state representatives from his state senatorial district who were on the House side. And then I watched him build the largest church arena with real vision, the House of Hope, where my father's services were, 3 basketball courts that are converted to church on Sunday mornings and a multi-purpose center and all of the above. And then I watched him clean up systematically all of the liquor stores. And then I'm watching him now and the church's various corporations build affordable housing in the same community where families can live because of a broad vision that included what? Not just pointing the arrows inward, but pointing them outward to address them. And I've never seen anything as transformative as a ministry that looks outside of the walls of the church and outside of the pulpit. Pastor Dix, thank you for being on our show today.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome back anytime, and I'm looking forward to you coming back and join us in the not too distant future. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Tenacious Tuesday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Up next, we will be on the grind with Barbara Arnwine. Put your seatbelt on. You know she's coming. Y'all ready, y'all? Here we go on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump says Iran should pay for damages for harm caused over the past 50 years.
They asked for money for the damage that we've done. I said, that's a good idea. Well, we're going to ask for money for the damage they've done over a 50-year period.
His comments come as Iran demands U.S. compensation for damage from the recent war. Alabama is preparing to execute a black man, Jeremy Williams, Thursday for the 2021 sexual assault and killing of a 5-year-old girl. Williams pleaded guilty and requested the death penalty. The victim's mother was sentenced to 20 years for sex trafficking. And efforts to preserve Louisiana's first African-American church are getting a boost. Wilson Engineers is providing free structural work to help restore the 209-year-old First African Baptist Church, where cracks have formed in the outer walls. Church leaders are also seeking funding for repairs. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers got a much-needed victory Monday night. They held on for a 6-5 win over the Kansas City Royals. First win at home for the Dodgers since July 30th against Seattle. The Clippers have an unofficial milestone. They signed a guy named Jamarian Sharp. At 7'5", the 24-year-old Sharp is currently the tallest player in the NBA. Sharp is an inch taller than San Antonio Spurs star Victor Wembanyama, but he is nowhere near Wembanyama's skill level. Despite his size, Sharp was not selected in the 2024